Hey, how's it going guys? Reed here and welcome to ReadReborn. Hope you guys are having a brilliant day. In today's video I'm doing a guide on one of the new dungeons released in patch 3.4, the Great Gubal Library hard mode. To get into this dungeon you need a minimum item level of 210 and you can unlock it by speaking to Midnight Dew in Idleshire. As always with my dungeon guides, in this video I'm going to go over the tactics for the boss fights. So after killing a couple of sets of enemies you're going to arrive at the first boss and face the Demon of the Tome. Overall this is a pretty easy fight but there's still a couple of AoEs to look out for. So the first AoE to look out for is Folio. This just creates a small little strip in the middle of the arena that you need to move out of the way of, and after a short while a huge book's going to come down, and I wouldn't recommend standing too close because it does do a little bit of damage when it lands and knocks you back, so just be aware of that. So a bit later on in the fight, after the boss casts Folio, you're going to notice some more AoEs coming straight after. So obviously you dodge the Folio and then you're going to see at either end these two little line AoEs, and after that two huge books come down and there's going to be some big straight line AoEs in front of those, and the only safe place is going to be the middle of the arena, so head there. And then you're also going to notice that Folio is now starting to do a small circular AoE called Frightful Roar, so just make sure you move out of the way of that. So the third time the boss casts Folio is going to be a little bit different. Instead of the big line through the middle there's going to be lots of small lines around the edges, and that's going to be where some smaller books are. And these books are going to do straight line AoEs across the arena. Now you will notice that the sort of orange bit of the sort of cast bar of the books is quite long, so you can stand in them for quite a while before moving out, so don't feel like you have to move straight away because you might end up panicking and end up dying. So just remember that you can stand in there for a little while, so wait for the next area to be free before you move. Apart from that, just keep on DPSing the boss down and dealing with all those AoEs, and then you would have killed Demon of the Tome and can continue with the dungeon. So after killing a couple more sets of monsters you're going to arrive at the second boss and face Liquid Flame. Just to say this from the start, he is very similar to the boss in A3. A first move to look out for is Bibliocide. This is a party-wide move that deals around 4,000 damage to every player, so healers just need to be aware of that. And a second move to look out for is Sea of Flames. This is just like Ifrit's Eruptions. It's going to follow a couple of players with little eruptions, and they're going to go off shortly after. So you just need to make sure you move out of the way of those. That leads on to our next move, which is Slosh. Basically the boss targets one player and then jumps over towards him and then does like a frontal cleave after a few seconds. So if you are the one that's tethered, just make sure you run away from the boss or away from the front of him when he lands, so you don't get hit by that cleave. So after a short while the boss is going to go into the middle of the room and turn into a fire tornado, and this is where its main mechanic is, very similar to A3 with the charges. So as you can see the boss has a charge above his head, and every single player has a charge above their head. Now depending on what charge you have depends on sort of which way or where you have to stand, because you're going to get knocked forward or backwards. So as you can see the boss had a negative charge, I had a negative charge, so that means that I'm going to get knocked backwards, and the two players that get knocked in, they had positive charges, so they're going to get knocked forwards. So negative negative, stand close, positive negative, stand back. After that little tornado phase he's going to go into a hand phase just like A3 again, and one move to look out for is Seal of Night and Day. Every player is going to have sort of discs above their head and they have to run to the corresponding area. So as you can see all four players had moon seals and there were two moon seals lit up on the floor, so you need to split it evenly between the group, or just head to the nearest moon seal or corresponding. There is a fire seal as well, so you have to run to the sun one on the left of the screen now. So depending on what seal you get depends on what place you have to run to. Apart from that, just keep burning the boss down and dealing with those mechanics, and then you would have finished the Liquid Flame and you can continue with the dungeon. So after killing a few more sets of monsters and enemies, you're going to reach the final boss room and face Strix. So regularly in this fight the boss is going to cast Checkout, and basically this brings down 4 books and they are used for sort of his upcoming moves. You have to head to a specific book for a specific move. So for this first instance he casts, so as we can see all the books that have landed are the same, they're all this sort of swirling air thing, and he's casting now a big move called something about the quakes, earthquakes, and as you can see we've ran to one of those books that landed and it's given us a levitation buff, meaning that we can sort of take no damage from that move. Now basically you just have to sort of follow this same concept throughout the whole fight, and obviously run to different books for different moves. So another move that the boss does that you need to run to a specific book for is something about tornadoes. Basically for this one you need to head to the dark purple coloured one, and this means you take no damage and sort of aren't knocked back or blown up into the air. So for tornadoes head to the dark purpley black coloured one. This follows on to the next move that the boss does that you need to run to a specific book for, and this is about imps. Basically all the players are going to be turned into an imp, and how you get out of that is just run to the light green circle and you get out of being an imp. So after a short while, the boss is going to head to one side of the arena and cast checkout, but this one's a little bit different. Instead of 4 books, there's going to be 1 mega book, and there's going to be a behemoth that comes out of it, and basically you can't attack him, just keep staying on the boss for a short while the behemoth is sort of standing there, and as you can see, he does his sort of ultimate move, which is the sort of meteor thing. And basically, like you do in the Crystal Tower, once you see this, obviously keep dodging the AoEs that come down from the meteors, but you want to be dodging the ultimate move, which is the big meteor impact, by standing behind the big boulders. After you've dealt with the behemoth sort of mechanics, get back to the boss, and one move to look out for is something about Thunder 3. You don't need to run to a specific book for this, just make sure that you're not overlapping with each other, because as you can see, it's kind of like in Ramu where you get like electricity shocks, and just make sure you don't overlap so you don't sort of overlap damage as well. Just spread out for that bit and then just continue fighting the boss. So guys, that is pretty much everything to look out for in this fight. Just keep on dealing with the mechanics of like the books and the behemoth, and keep DPSing the boss down and you would have killed him, and then completed the Great Gubal Library hard mode. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this guide. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more Final Fantasy XIV videos in the future, and if you're new to my channel, check out some of my other videos. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'm sure I will see you again really soon.